Do you hear it? That low howl beneath the wind?
That's not the storm.
That's me. I am what remains of a man who once sailed under blood-red sails, whose axe sang in foreign lands, whose heart beat with the thunder of Odin's sky. I was a Viking, though we never called ourselves that. We were the Norse, the Northmen, the sea wolves, and I am dead, but not at rest, for I fell with sword in hand. Yet I walk not the golden halls of Valhalla. I drift between the worlds, shadows in my ears, salt still on my skin, and so I speak now to you, to tell the forgotten tale of who we were. Perhaps, if you listen, the gods will hear. Perhaps they'll see I have not been idle, and they will open the gates. We Norse were born not from dirt, but from myth. Our story begins not with man, but with Ginnunga Gap, the yawning void. Before the world, before sky, before sea, there was only that emptiness. From it rose fire to the south, ice to the north, and where they met, life. The first being, Ymir the frost giant, grew from the melting ice. From his sweat came the race of Jotnar, the giants, and from the cow Audhumla, who licked salt from the frozen stone, came Buri, grandfather of the gods. Odin, son of Bor, grandson of Buri, slew Ymir, and from the giant's body he shaped our world. His flesh the earth, his blood the seas, his bones the mountains, and his skull the sky. We believed we were not separate from the gods, but born of their deeds. They made Midgard, the realm of men, from the remains of chaos, and so we lived with one foot in myth and one in the soil. But we were more than belief. We were blood, breath, and purpose. Before the sagas, before the raiding ships, we were farmers, herders, craftsmen. My own father tilled the hard earth near the fjords, coaxing barley and turnips from the rocky soil, and yet we were not soft. Even in peace, a Norseman kept a blade close. We lived where the world could kill you for forgetting who you were. We told tales by firelight, of Odin's sacrifice, of Thor's hammer, of Freya's beauty and fury. These weren't bedtime stories, they were lessons, code, our very identity. We didn't just believe in the gods, we lived through them. Every storm was Thor's mood, every raven's flight, a whisper from Odin himself. But I speak too long, and this is only the beginning. The sea remembers me, but so does the soil.
Before the sword, before the sail, before blood foamed the tide, there was the earth. We were farmers, most of us, proud of it. That may surprise you. You think us all raiders and warriors. But only some wore iron year-round. Most wore wool, dirt on their hands and the weight of seasons on their backs. My father, Eirik, son of Halvard, was a man of the plough. He taught me the rhythm of the land, when to sow barley, when to shear sheep, when to fear the frost, and when to trust the sun. The fjord lands were stubborn and stone-filled, but we made them yield, with oxen, wooden ploughs, and sheer will. Long houses were our bones, wood-framed, turf-roofed, they were both shelter and soul. The hearth sat at the centre, flame and smoke curling skyward through the smoke hole, curling up to the gods. It was here the stories were told, here the bread baked, here we passed the dark months close, side by side, on benches lined with furs. We shared space, people and animals alike. Goats might bleat in the corners, chickens stirred underfoot. Our lives were tight woven, not separate from the beasts that fed us. The women, they were strong. Freya's blood ran in them, not just the goddess of love, but of war and Seither, the old magic. Women kept the fire lit, the food preserved, the linen woven tight. They were midwives and healers, scalds and seers. A man who did not respect a woman was a fool, and fools don't live long where the cold eats the careless. Every task had its season. Spring was planting, summer the haying and fishing, autumn the slaughter, winter the waiting. The endless dark pressed down like a lid, but we kept close and warm and alive. Evenings were for tale-telling. My uncle would carve runes into wood and speak of the 9 worlds, of Asgard where Odin waits, of Helheim where cowards go, of Jormungandr, the world serpent who waits to coil the sky. We weren't just listening, we were remembering, repeating the truths so the gods would not forget us. But I haven't told you of the thing. The thing was our law, our parliament if you'd call it that. Free men gathered on the law rock in open air to speak their grievances, to argue land rights, marriages, blood debts. Even the poorest man could speak if he was free. We took pride in that. A warrior feared no king, but he respected the thing. I once stood at such a gathering. My neighbour had accused my cousin of cutting too far into his pasture. Voices rose. The law speaker, his memory sharper than any scroll, recited the old rules. It was settled with words, not swords. That was strength too.
We were many things, not just fighters, builders, poets, parents, sailors, traders, dreamers. Even in this half-life, I can still smell the peat fire, feel the warm bread, hear the lull of wind in the grass. I miss that, more than I miss the kill. Do you see us now? Not beasts, not barbarians, a people, whole human. In the old days, a man's word was not just a promise. It was his name, his legacy, his soul. I was there when oaths were made, not whispered in secret, but spoken loud, beneath open sky, where gods and men alike could hear. The bonds between kin, chieftains, jarls and freemen were tangled like roots in dark soil. You did not break an oath lightly. To do so was to spit in Odin's eye, and he remembers such insults. Our world was shaped by loyalty, not just to blood, but to bond. A jarl ruled, not by decree, but by respect. He was first among equals, not a king in the way you'd think. His hall might be larger, his sword sharper, but if he lost the trust of his people, he was no more than a man with enemies. We called it the Drott, the warrior band, those who served a leader in battle and feasting alike. I served mine with pride. I drank at his table, fought at his side. When he fell at Lindisfarne, I carried his broken shield home. But power wasn't only found in halls and raids. It was sealed in marriage, the most sacred alliance of all. Marriage among us was rarely about love. It was politics, land, peace, family strength. My own marriage was arranged when I was still chasing sheep on the cliffs. Her name was Runa, daughter of a neighboring clan, clever-eyed, quicker with her tongue than any blade I'd carried. I did not know her when we wed, but I came to trust her more than my own brothers. A bride brought more than herself. She came with a dowry, land, livestock, sometimes silver. But she also brought a voice. Don't let those soft tales mislead you. Norse women could divorce their husbands, reclaim their dowry and walk free. And woe to the man who struck her without cause. That was a crime worth exile or blood.
I feel myself fading from this world. Even the dead must rest. But my tale is not done. I bid you return, that I may appease the gods by finishing what we began.